All right, it's talk time now. In 2012, the Central Bank of Nigeria, under the leadership of Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, introduced the cashless policy, with the pilot scheme taking off in Lagos.
This was done in a bid to birth a cashless economy. What this means is that the CBN wanted to create an environment in which money is spent without being physically carried from one person to the other.
The Central Bank of Nigeria in 2007 launched the Payment Systems Vision 2020. The aim is to transform and facilitate economic activities by providing safe and efficient mechanisms for making and receiving payments with minimum risk in the banking industry. Governor of the Central Bank maintained that a well-functioning national payment system will increase confidence in the banking sector as well as fostering economic development.
I'm trying to see how we could almost completely eliminate the use of cash in our system. Here we're saying you want to make bills payment, you want to do anything, we should begin to see ourselves as an economy that will do without cash, reduce the use of cash, reduce the use of checks, but embrace electronic payment systems. Get as many people as possible in our economy who are concurrently excluded to begin to be included.
He added that the committees will oversee proper implementation of the new structure, which will result in a significant increase in participants' engagement in development and operations of the payment scheme.
Ultimately, the economy will be better for it because you will find that most of those transactions that are currently being handled using cash, or people having to keep cash in their homes, by the time we put in place all the infrastructure, by the time we make it easy for you to transact your business, right, electronically, you will find no need to begin to keep cash in your homes. You will find the need to embrace the electronic forms of business. So ultimately, it will help the economy. Ultimately, it will help the gross domestic product of the economy of the country.
It is expected that the new system will further improve efficiency of the cashless policy, which is already functional in the 36 states of the Federation. Tolulope Ogunjobi, TVC News.
All right, let's get into the discussion now, proper. We have with us, joining us in the studio here, we have Obin Alkafa, but we'll certainly introduce him shortly. But from our Abuja studio, we have the National President of the National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions Employees, Danjuma Musa. Danjuma, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Let's talk about this issue of cashless policy. The debate as to how more beneficial has been on for years, and that has been understood to a great extent. But after this policy, can you give us really a basic understanding of the success in the cashless policy in Nigeria so far? How would you assess the success of this policy?
Thank you very much. I think this policy is one of the best policy that has a match in government policies and all of that. Because again, it is something that we need to embrace in this country. It has actually helped and also boosts the process of moving cash from one place to the other.
Okay.
And again, it has also assisted in reducing crime in the country.
All right. Okay. Let's bring Obina Okafor. Obina, many thanks for joining us. He's a financial analyst here with us in our studio. What would be the scorecard for the cashless policy, even in the pilot state from 2012 to date?
Yeah, thank you very much. I would say that it's been of great success because a lot of people have bought into it. So many transactions are done in that line now, and people have seen the benefit of dealing without cash. The rate of crime has drastically reduced because when the men of the underworld realize there's no much to collect from the house, so that reduced to a large extent. And again, businesses are done mostly cashless. A lot of people feel comfortable receiving their money via the cashless option, and I think it's been a great success.
Okay, The difference between what we have now, according to the CBN, and what we had in 2012, Danjuma, this is to you, is that you do not only just pay charges for withdrawing cash, but when you deposit a certain amount now, you have to pay some charges on that. Is that okay by you?
I think this is one of the aspects of the cashless policy that has to be reviewed. Because again, when you deposit money in the bank, what you expect is interest on your deposited fund and all of that. And again, by the time you make withdrawal, it is expected that the interest that is accrued to your account should remain in your account. But when you say somebody make withdrawals and then you charge based on the amount that was withdrawn, I think that policy has to be reviewed, because this is not actually fair in the part of the customers and all of that.
Okay, Obina, one of the reasons they gave that time for the cashless policy, or one of the benefits, they said it was going to also reduce inflation to a great extent, because when you're reducing the amount of excess liquidity in the hands of people, it is meant to reduce. But would you say that, okay, I've been told we have to go on a break now, so I'll have to come back to ask that question when we come back from the break. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast. We're discussing the Central Bank of Nigeria policy on the cashless economy. Right, thanks for staying with us on TVC Breakfast. Right now, we're talking about the cashless policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. About 6 states have been, since 2012, it was established, or it was introduced by the Central Bank at that time. And right now, there are moves to incorporate more states in Nigeria. Now we're looking at the success of that policy so far over the years. We have with us in the studio Obina Okafor. He is a financial analyst, and he is the managing consultant of Vicosbean Consult. And we also have with us from our Abuja studio Danjuma Musa. He is the national president of the National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institution Employees. Now, Obina, I was asking earlier on, reduction of inflation is one benefit they say the cashless policy will bring on board. But over the years, from 2012 until now, every extra year, the inflation rate keeps going up and going up and going up. So how do we reconcile the success of the cashless policy from that window?
Well, I don't think that the policy will go or have anything to do with inflation based on what was advanced, because it doesn't stop spending. Inflation has much to do with spending. So changing from a cash-based situation to a cashless situation does not stop you from spending. So I do not think, except if there are wrong way of spending or probably some illegal spending, that they are curtailed. But to a large extent, it didn't stop any form of spending that is required in the system. So, but what I think is that the expectations that it was supposed to have in terms of financial inclusion is what I think has gone a long way. But with the new introduction, I do not know whether we can still achieve that objective, because
when you look at between 2012 and 2015, you had relatively a stable rate of the inflation. Yeah. We're even trying to achieve a single digit at a point. But what we have today, the inflation rate we have today is going triple or quadruple a digit as we speak. But what the CBN will tell you that the inflation you have now is not due to excess liquidity in the system, but these are structural reasons for inflation that we have today. So if you're comparing what we had in 2012 in terms of excess liquidity and what we have today, there are two different things if you're looking at the cashless policy, if you catch my drift.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you strongly, because one of the things that has happened recent times is more of a policy inconsistencies or some sort of the government, which I think they are trying to address now. But looking at how the cashless policy has helped in stabilizing the inflationary position, I don't think I have any form of link with it.
Okay. All right. So maybe now let's ask if there are any challenges at all when it comes to this issue of cashless policy. At Danjuma, there have been quite a lot of complaint in terms of electronic transactions. Some people complain about poor networking and issues like that. What do you think are the challenges? Or it's all good news all through the way?
Yeah, I think the issue of poor network and all of that need to be addressed, just like you rightly mentioned. But again, it's a gradual process. It's something that, as a policy is coming up, and then issues are coming up like that, definitely it needs to be addressed. You know, by the time you introduce a new policy into the system, you have to also be looking at the lapses of that particular policy so that you'll be able to improve on that particular policy. But of course, there must be complaint in terms of network and all of that. But there must be also a collaboration between the service providers and also the end users and all of that. So that people will also, they must also be able to create awareness as to these are the challenges we are having in terms of this cashless policy that is being introduced and all of that. Because I remember vividly some of the banks, when they are having challenges like that, in terms of upgrading their systems, they do send messages to clients, to customers and all of that, saying we want between so-so period and so-so period, you encounter some certain challenges in your transaction. I think it's normal. It is something that with time we will get over it.
All right, Danjuma, there's still a lot of concern because if you see the makeup of Nigeria, there's so much difference between how financial transactions are taking for instance, in Lagos and somewhere in, say, Yobe State, for instance. It's not the same. Now, when it comes to availability of data services, ATM machines, POS services, and all of that, we know that there are agencies or companies or organizations still in some parts of the country that pay salaries manually, where you come to the counter and then you receive your salaries and they count it and give it to you and all of that. Now, when it comes to a modern payment system, how far from the benchmarks is Nigeria when it comes to having a modernized payment system?
Just like I earlier said, it is not something that, when a policy come into the system, will address most of those challenges immediately. It is a gradual process. It is something that we have to bear with the system for now, so that at least at the tail end of it, everybody will see the benefit of that particular policy that has been in place. Now,
between 2012 and now, a child of 2012, and how old will that child be? That's 6 years. 6 years. So we shouldn't be talking about fitting problems, as to speak. At 6, a child of 6 shouldn't be talking about fitting problems. But let's still look at some of those fitting problems. One of them has to do with the issue of a debit, when your bank debits you twice for a particular transaction.
In fact, as good as the policy might be, and as we have all agreed, it's been one of the best things that have happened to the economy. But the flip side of it are some of these challenges we are talking about now. The cost of running that system is quite expensive to the banking public. I should think that there should be a better way of managing it. The CBN should not be seen as trying to make money on the populace. And the bank also should be driven more with the desire to ensure that liquid cash is reduced in the system, and not to be seen as trying to make money for the banks and the CBN itself, because there are several problems. Now, even within Lagos, where the pilot scheme has been considered to be reasonably successful, most places you go to buy fuel in the filling stations, they say their POS, the network is not there. You go to the supermarket to buy something, they say their POS is not working. So the challenge of the technology that will drive the policies is still lacking seriously. And again, we are about going to other places. The awareness is still so low. Now, if you are talking
but
about...
why would your bank debit you twice for a
That's
transaction? That's really the question.
I don't think that is...
personnel not being well trained? Or why
I don't think that is
that?
the problem of the policy. It's the problem of the bank itself. It's a problem. You have to raise that issue with the bank for a complaint. That is something that should not happen. But it's not a creation of the cashless policy. The cashless policy have defined what the charges you are to pay for whatever limit and all of that. So if we have an experience where banks charges you double for it, that's not a problem of the policy. It's a bank problem yourself. But I'm saying that there are general problems. Okay. Now, you can't say we have gotten, okay, even in Lagos, you have some suburb of Lagos. Go to Ekpe, if you move beyond Aja, down. I don't know how many banks you can get in those places. If you go towards going to like after toll gate, going to Mowe area and all of that, I don't know how many banks you can see there, even though it's a Ogun State, but you know it's more of Lagos. If you go towards the Badagry area, the same thing. So to what extent even to Ikorodu side, to what extent have we integrated the system? Are you saying that there's no money moving around in those places? Okay, so I think that it's a good thing. We have started, but the infrastructure required to drive the process should have been put in place. And again, the awareness creation should be there. The persuasive approach that was used, to a large extent, worked much. But this time around, you are introducing a charge for deposit. So, and one of the objectives of the policy is that the financial inclusiveness. So if I know that I have 500,000 naira to go and lodge it, 501,000 naira to go and lodge into the bank, and the money will be reduced by lodging to the bank, wouldn't people choose to keep their money at home?
At the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, so what we are trying to achieve now will be defeated. So you realize that I would strongly suggest and oppose the idea of charging deposit. Probably for the meantime, withdrawal, okay, but it should be reasonable too. Because if for a businessman, for instance, who moves from Aba to come and buy goods in Lagos, he may not carry 1 million naira. He may come to want to withdraw the money in Lagos here. And buying goods of 1 million naira, he may not go and buy it in one place. He has to buy from different places. So he has to withdraw 1 million naira, one way or the other, to pay people at different places. So he now knows that his money has been depleted by 5%. Is it 3%? So you can imagine 3%.
Yeah, 3% for withdrawal and 2% for...
So you can imagine that. So we saw people begin to devise, and I assure you, crime will return because people will now know that people are keeping money at home.
Because you can no longer deposit without
exactly.
paying for
because
it.
10,000 naira, let me tell you, 10,000 naira for somebody who has 1 million naira is a lot of money. So you can
and especially when you're withdrawing in 5, 6, 7 places, and then there has to be 3% for this withdrawal, 3% for this withdrawal, 3% for this withdrawal.
That will be after this break. That will be after this break. We'll withdraw and deposit after this break. Stay with us, please.
Right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast. We're discussing the CBN's cashless policy in Nigeria. And there's a move now to include more states in the Federation in Nigeria into that policy. And we are looking at all the issues that could come up and that has been on all the while. Now, we have Obin Alkafo, a financial analyst, with us here in the studio. And we also have from our Abuja studio, the president of the National Union of Banks, Insurance and Financial Institutions employee, Danjuma Musa, joining us in there. Now, the second phase of the scheme we are talking about took off in Abuja, Rivers, Anambra, Abia, Kano, and Ogun states in 2014. Now, the CBN said charges on withdrawals for both individual and corporate account holders will be suspended in the remaining 30 states of the Federation till July 1st, 2015. That was what was obtainable at the time.
Yeah. The policy limits daily cash withdrawals and deposits for individual customers of 500,000 naira, while corporate customers can withdraw only 3 million naira. The policy also states that the penalty charge is applicable for cash withdrawals and deposits above the daily limit, irrespective of the channel, whether it is through ATMs or checks paid over the counter. So you can't get over it, really. For the individual account type, deposit above 500,000 attracts 2% charge on the excess, while withdrawals above 500,000 attracts 3% charge on the excess.
Now, for deposits in corporate account, if it is above 3 million, it will attract 3% charge on the excess, while if the withdrawals are above 3 million naira, it will attract 5% charge on the excess. Moshood Salvador, Chairman, PDP Lagos State, thank you for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
We also thank Sheikh Gabam for joining us earlier on from Abuja. He's a PDP chieftain. These are new revelation the PDP chairman has brought up now, but certainly we'll look forward to having a copy of that new law that has been put in place. We have to analyze it to make Nigerians understand what's going on. But this is where we come to the end of today's edition. Have a great day ahead. I am Mike Okwache.
And I'll be enjoying the day before my birthday tomorrow. I had to just... Yay! Thank you so much for joining us. Mungazi Ale, do have a beautiful day.